AX Easter egg is 140. Right, prize number 3. We have got, away from the sweets category, I thought at this time of year, summer season, I'm very stressed. What we need is a bit of cleanliness in the houses and student houses, people getting the dishes. We've got a dish master. One of the prizes. One of the prizes of all time. Here. Once you get the prize, it's up to you. The winner of the dish master is 113. Anniversary edition. Prize number 4 is more than a sweet thing. Every fingers. Which finally, if you get a cross figure, you win a cash prize. So donate some for you to get winner of Every Fingers is 160. Google's random number generator. Still a few. Right. Next prize we have got. This was on offer, so.
No way. No chance.
JCR Meeting.
Whoa!
And we'll see. The winner of a JCR Pisco is number 129. Are you glad you stayed for the raffle? This way. Next prize, the lost track, is I love squishies. If anyone doesn't like them. Right. Winner of a bag of squashes is number 109. That's I'm so sorry. Right. Take 2 of the bag of squashes is 111. 2 numbers down. Right. The next one is obvious. I've already taken on board that. Is next prize. Some hot chocolate. This was actually my favourite hot chocolate. You got a taste. Right. The winner of hot chocolate is 139.
I'm allergic to it.
I think it does make
The take 2 on the hot chocolate is 130. Right. Oh, two more questions. Thankfully, none of these are foods. Thanks, Gabe. Right, next prize is. Right, we've got some hand warmers because it's been really cold recently. So, the winner of some hand warmers is number 123. There you go. That's right. And this is something I spotted, and I don't even know if it works, to be honest with you. But I saw this and I thought this will be interesting. It is a trolley token. So you can have a coin on you to use a trolley after 2. It didn't work. We went into some reliable sources. Huh?
We get your contestant.
The winner of a trolley and locker coin issued in a locker is number 141. No.
Oh my god.
It wasn't
Let's rock on, let's do it.
Doing it in surname order means class goes first, which means definitely these don't get into JCR, but they don't start with you. You have 3 minutes.
Hi everyone, I'm Kat, a second year law student at class, and I'm going to be your JCR expert. During my time here, I've come to know that the JCR can work exceptionally well, but I've also spent time reflecting on practical ways we can make it work better for the most amount of people. At our best, the JCR is about support, representation, and students working together, and that's what I want to focus on. The majority of work happens in our committees, and I want to make sure that the people doing that work feel supported from the start. When people understand their roles and feel confident, collaboration becomes easier and outcomes improve. With clearer onboarding at the beginning of the year, committees would set shared roles and expectations. This would give committees a solid foundation to begin their work, followed by a committee session, which would be ideally tailored to that group of people. So that could be dinner, painting, crocheting, a ranger, you name it. What matters is creating strong bonds and fostering friendships, which is the best thing about being a JCR officer. As an enthusiastic member of primary law school, I've had to learn to balance academics for the rest of my life. I want the expansion of involvement in JCR committees to occur in a realistic way alongside academic and personal commitments. Challenging more project-based roles would allow more students to contribute meaningfully. This is something that I think can work particularly well on committees like social comm and welfare campaigns. An example being, if you're very passionate about Freshers Week in November, you could join welfare campaigns for Michaelmas if that's when you have more time. And it means that people would be doing roles that they're passionate about. This would also come alongside clearer role descriptions, which would include the predicted time commitment, related career links, and the general meeting quantity. This would help ensure students know what they're getting into and can engage with the JCR in a way that works for them. I am aware that this will require changes to the standing orders, but I would get help from people who are much wiser than the standing orders, such as GovCom and the JCR chair. I would also like to introduce standardized templates for meeting minutes and action, so decisions are easier to follow and progress doesn't get lost. This will culminate in an annual state of the JCR report, outlining event attendance, summaries from committee chairs, feedback, and achievements. Think of it as a glorified yearbook with those pictures. This is something I would undertake with the help of the trustees and other exec members, and would hopefully create a tangible progress report which can be looked at over the years by future JCR officers. The majority of the work I've done this year as publicity officer has been more forward-facing and public. However, I found the most joy and satisfaction acting as a soundboard for other people's ideas. Above all, I want the JCR to feel welcoming, clear, and supportive. It should be a space where students feel comfortable asking questions, confident taking part, and assured that everyone matters. These aren't abstract ideas to me, they're practical changes that can strengthen how the JCR functions and improve futures. Thanks so much for listening.
Did anyone have any questions? Andy.
Could you give me a bit more detail on, I think it's from last time, on the intermediate like campaigns, kind of like the term roles?
Okay, yeah. So, one thing I found with, and especially at uni, is every term is completely different. Sometimes you can have the chillest and the warmest term and the worst epiphany of your life. And I think one way that we can increase enrollment is creating new method roles that focus on, so that will be targeted. So for example, let's say you really want to join social comm, but you know you might not have time during the Michaelmas and Epiphany. You could come on board during summertime, on cup days, summer ball, and you still get to be involved. And that way it means that people actually do things they're really passionate about. So with the wildlife campaigns, for example, if it's someone who's really passionate about November and Freshers Week, you can join the Michaelmas town if that's what you have in this time, welcome those campaigns. And if you love it, then hopefully people would stay on board. But if not, and you've got to contribute, you've got to take part, and you've got to get involved with everything that being a JCR committee has to offer, which is a lot.
Any other questions? If that's all.
Could you expand a bit more on the term like JCR roles?
Hi everyone, my name is Jasper, if you don't know it yet, and I would like to be your Vice President for Class JCR next year. Since my first JCR meeting last year, I've been involved in various positions, including the Governance Committee, the International Committee, and the Executive Committee this year. I've always enjoyed volunteering for my committee, and would like to continue to max out my commitment next year to be taking on the role of Vice President. I've had the amazing memories of organising and participating in the countless events I've been on cards. University can sometimes be a stressful place from time to time, whether it's academically or socially. But this is where cards always come into place. The friendliness and warmth within the community are always available here during the ups and downs. Sometimes it's like an invisible angel. And just like what Robin Williams says about angel, what did he say? Over is protection, whether we're right or wrong. And the JCR is the foundation on which such lovely community could exist. This being my second year of my time in cards, I realized that many things that were seen as traditions and part of our unique character would change over time. Like chanting, pots and pans, Christmas panto, to the recent notice at my college about behaviour in sports pictures. Undeniably, that is to be progress. Tradition has to be improved, for us to be even more inclusive, representative, and respectful, not just to our student community, but to the local community. But it's also important for us to retain our unique character to always put students first. Using a quote from the president of last year, explain why it's called St. Campus Society, but not St. Campus College. It is because we build a wall around the people and we put our people first, rather than build a wall and then shut people in and make them to learn the rules. As I remember in here in cards, it's always someone's legacy. These traditions and legacies are what constitutes St. Campus Society and make us traditional and traditional. Speaking of putting people first, JCR officers and reps are one who pay incredible amounts of effort to make newcomers of our community feel at home. We need to recognize that while we volunteer to welcome our new members, the welfare of reps and JCR officers should be our priority too. I would like to create more awards that celebrate the incredible achievements of our reps and JCR officers with the help of Health Rep and President and take care of the general welfare of everyone during the course of the work. I would also like to create a sports day for gods with sports and society chat. It seems like sports teams and clubs are very individualistic at the moment and they're all thriving in their own way, which is very good. But I believe that binding them together will create an even bigger impact on the best of our community. An inclusive sports day that cuts people who sign up as a team and participate in different challenges organised by sports clubs, which is very important within our community. On the other hand, my experience as chair and exec have also provided more insight into how the whole JCR work. We're working with the treasurer and the presentation fund handle, and with the president and vice president through the structure of the JCR. It's what we went to remain impartial and professional, especially when facing difficult situations where I would encounter if I was elected vice president. So the best outcome is to achieve for JCR. I will also continue to always be available to support it as all the previous vice president. During my time at JCR, I've also been communicating with members of JCR, whether it's inquiries about standing orders and motion change committees, or inquiry about gyms and time, I don't know why, but this gives me a good insight into what each committee does and how to communicate with them effectively. I believe I do anything well and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay then, can we get level?
Yeah, you were talking about a sports day. Because we tried to do it actually last year during Fresh Week, and logistically just didn't work due to timing. I didn't get the actual season where teams are playing every weekend. How would you actually propose that like a sports day works? Because in summertime we then have exams and then festival sports. So how would you actually implement a sports day?
Yeah, I think definitely fine when weather good because a lot of sport is outdoor. I think it doesn't have to be a day, it could be a week. Like I think expanding from what we have from the dots, we have now like people signing up from different like teams or like making like house to make it like throughout a period of time. And like people sign up the team to get points if it goes to do that sports, that's organized by the club. And just do it in like a gradual manner from time to time to live it every single day. So it's more manageable.
Any other questions? If not, round of applause to Jasper. We will now define the, again, the same sort of question again, the presidency. Non-specific questions for you about the vice president role. So nothing from the context of the question. We will start, first question comes like that, Jasper. So, any questions? Yeah.
So you really go in the secretary that obviously as vice president, you've got a prioritizing to do as well as responsibility. How do you guys manage that to ensure
That question. It definitely is not easy to have a degree and like a social life and do so many things and also have a role with a lot of responsibility. But at the end of the day, I think it's about being open and honest about what you can and cannot do. If I have no shame in saying, I'm really sorry I can't do this today, I don't have the time. And it's about like relying on other people. And that's definitely something that I would say I might learn this year is it's okay to like ask other exec members for help, even if their role has nothing to do with yours. Like there's some things that people can do to help you out. I think it's important to ask for help and like be honest with yourself about when you can and cannot do something you don't want to burn out. So I think it's just about being honest about what you can and cannot do, being realistic and being open to relying on other people.
I think what Kat said is really like, I have the same perspective as we're saying like in exact this year, like we just rely on each other more because like we're always a community, we always have each other's back. So if there's anything wrong, I'll always focus on the person coming to support people as a vice president because I feel like compared to other exec position, vice president has more flexibility around the years because like if you make example, great plans, try to enforce it and VP just like closing my window to help with them and also doing different projects. And for my degree, like I do PPE, but I didn't do too much economics, so I have a lot of time. I don't have that much contact hours, so I'll be there whenever you need.
Any other questions? Caleb?
What do you think is the most important quality for a VP to have? What do you think is the most important quality for a VP to have?
I think the most important quality for VP is being green. I think we have to have the dedication and the courage to take on the role, because like you have some time you have to step into the president role, which is like an adult role. Like it's actually you actually take care of all real things. The person in charge and take care of everyone. You have the courage and dedication and not afraid to make difficult decisions from time to time.
Was the question the most important quality for MVP or the most important about the VP?
Most important quality.
Most important quality? I think the most important quality for being VP is having a lot of empathy and sympathy for other people. You do a lot of the job is supporting and being delegated tasks by the president. So I think it's very important to kind of be empathetic in the situation that our president is in, where they like get so much work. And being understanding of that. Also in terms of getting people involved in the JCR, being really understanding of and empathetic of why people don't get involved in the JCR so that you can address those concerns better. I also think because VP is such like a supportive role and you're doing a lot of supporting people, I think it's really important to be empathetic towards our other JCR officers. We all go through a lot, we all have our own rights outside of this. And I think it's really important to understand that and be there for people to better support them.
David?
If you could choose one policy that you would advocate for this country school in Bollywood, what kind of policy would
That's a question. A policy that I would recommend for international students. Yeah, I think again, like really pitching method 3 roles to everyone, but I think they would work really well for international students because it means that I feel like in JCR, a lot of international students have this idea that the only committee that they can be a part of is international committee, which is like actually not true. It's great to have everyone be on every committee. Just because we're international students doesn't mean we have to be on international committee. So I think really being like, yeah, if you're an international student and you want to work with the international students rep to increase the inclusivity of JCR for international students, you should 100% do that. But if you're an international student and you actually are really into standard orders or social comm, like it's a really good idea to have a method 3 committee role on the social comm or on outreach or whatever, and like really pitching method 3 roles to the international students outside of what people think that they can do.
Yeah, I think I'll focus on like it's not just international issue in the JCR, but international community as a whole, like throughout the cards. I think being an international issue myself, I mean I struggle a lot at the start of coming because like it's very different culture coming to all different university. It's like you just go into fresh street, you've got chucked into like a club to talk to people and do like a lot of small talk, a lot of pints, a lot of alcohol, sick people, like it's kind of new to me. Like I think a lot of international students feel like that as well. I feel like from my experience, it's great, like the easiest way to get a lot of people is to take sports together. That's why I want to try to make like a very inclusive sports day for all levels of people to do some exercise. I mean, when you're doing sports, like you just talk to each other naturally. You don't have like a common topic to start with, like random sports, or you don't even have to grab a pint in your hand. You don't have to drink. You just play sports and like know each other. And other than that, like because of so many different activities, I think we need to let people know that these are there for them. I mean, and they can always start their own societies if they want, like what special interest internationally will have. I think those like commitments and like community work much better than for international students.
Any other questions? Louise?
So obviously I added refreshers week for example to this meeting. It doesn't come actually for the end of the meeting. But what does your like 3 refreshers week look like? and what kind of event, like the more social side. So I feel like the other two are kind of not really laws to pay it, but the social side, what do you want?
I think that's a great question. I think Refresh Week will be good opportunity for people to catch up with each other. Maybe do some crazy story sharing, like in the whole, like for example, who has a crazy story from Christmas, or have some catch up things to do. I mean, when we come back, it's like kind of go in January, maybe something indoor to do together. There's what I say in the speech, like the warmth of the community, being like physically warm as well, like the indoor area, do something like that. That'd be quite cool. Indoor sports as well, to refresh people up, something like that.
Louise, thank you so much for that question. The idea of getting refreshed fast week of the Picnic Town brings me so much joy. And yeah, I think it'd be so cool to have like a mixture of events. Obviously, like you could have like some club type events, maybe in conjunction with Custom and Society. We do. We can also but I think it's also like really cool to do like nice, somewhat like intimate events in the bar. So like chill pub quizzes. I just discovered what a parish exit was like this academic year. And I realized that you actually like really early when you don't like something. So I think having events, especially with Picnic Town and Summerses, I think it would be really cool to have events that don't necessarily go on all night. So I'm thinking like pub quizzes. We could have like music type events in the bar. I also think it'd be really cool if we were to like invite a lot of the team, like cheer, dance, like the Bollywood troupe is really cool. Like invite them to like come do some performances and have like a really cool performance evening. That's something that's really nice where you know that you can maybe make it to your lecture the next day. So I think it would be nice to have some chill events, some cool crazy events. I just think it's important to keep in mind. People do have like lectures and sciences and performances in the second term, but we can still like, I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Anyone? Cool, that seems like it. Round of applause for that. Again, we'll do this in alphabetical order by surname, so Eden will do first.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, yes. Hello everybody, I'm Eden. I'm your current female welfare officer and I'm running to your next senior welfare officer. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to be a part of Cubs welfare. Okay, that's not entirely true. I first found out about welfare from the handbook, which was hastily handed to me while I did the carousel, and I read it cover to cover after returning to my room because I was so in need of a distraction. I remember thinking that it was so incredibly cool to be in a college which put so much care and effort into their students' well-being, especially after coming from a less than ideal high school where student support was a big dream. So I joined welfare campaigns, and soon after, I ran to be female welfare officer. My time at CUTS has been spent dedicated to the safety and well-being of our members, and I have loved every single second of it. But it's also come with an endless amount of inspiration, not just from the people that I've met or the work that I've done, but from the barriers that I've encountered along the way. Not just through welfare, but through my own personal experiences. And this inspiration has given me so many ideas as to how to better our community. Because I'll be entirely frank with you, I'm kind of pissed off at the university, and I want to do something about it, and you can help me. One large issue that I'd like to address as senior welfare officer is the accessibility of drop-ins. CUTS falls so far behind other JCRs in this regard. I'd like to begin offering virtual drop-in sessions and periodic drop-ins on the Bailey because limiting support to one room in Profounders simply isn't enough. Students shouldn't be forced to walk somewhere that might be far away just to get the help they need. Alongside offering accessibility of drop-ins, I'd also like to reintroduce an anonymous queries forum where individuals can ask officers questions about anything, because not everybody wants to walk into a room and tell a stranger, I think I might have syphilis. There is another issue that we need to address though, and it's the way that we talk about sexual misconduct and violence. Too often, language places responsibility on the person giving consent rather than everyone involved to actively ensure safety and care. And at a university level, victims are made to feel as though they have to prove themselves. The reporting process is stressful, overwhelming, and entirely placed on the disclosing party, which is one reason why so much goes unreported. While our college supports students well once they come forward, we need to be so much more proactive in making sure that that process never feels like a burden. Please feel free to ask me more about this because I have so much to say, but will not fit into 3 minutes. But yeah, CUTS is such an incredible college. I'm so proud to be a part of it with all of these incredible people. But I truly believe that if we want to live up to our reputation of being traditionally untraditional, we need to keep on pushing forward. We need to be proactive. We need to actually take steps to protect students before something bad happens. And that takes care, intention, and people willing to do the work. I have so much love for this community, and I know that we can do better together. That's why I'm asking for your vote to be the next senior welfare officer. Thank you.
So my question is, like diversifying the nature of welfare things, would that mean that welfare officers would have to commit more time, or would it be the same time split between the Bailey, the founders, and production?
Yeah, so actually when it comes to drop-ins on the Bailey, I don't think it would be a weekly thing, at least that's not my intention. It would be to anticipate high stress like events or times. So especially like following Freshers Week, like introductory, people are really stressed out. Around exam season, at the starts or ends of terms, just having 1 or 2 people coming in for like a week and do their drop-ins at the Bailey is really, really helpful. And then as far as virtual drop-ins go, I would want to do my best to make sure that the welfare officers aren't doing too much, like, I don't know, aren't overworking themselves. But at least now, during my time as being a welfare officer, I definitely would be able to commit an extra hour to do like virtual drop-ins, and I feel as though the other welfare officers are the same. Even then though, it would just require, like, we would walk to the welfare room on the Bailey, in the founders, and just do like an hour of virtual drop-ins. I think that in order to maximize the time that the welfare officers have and minimize their stress, it would just be like, instead of all the in-person drop-ins that we have now, we would just have an hour that's virtual for each welfare officer.
Any other
Hi, Kelly.
questions?
You mentioned wanting to be more proactive about preventing things before they happen. Can you give us like an example of how that might happen?
Yeah, so I think obviously we can't be there for every student at all times. That's not possible, and also something that would stress all of us out way too much. But I think that a really big part of that comes with opening communication so much more. Obviously we have Shed Week, which is phenomenal, but we need to be advertising those resources, talking about consent, talking about safe sex, stuff like that, so much more throughout the entire year. Obviously I think Mary's has their Call Them Out program, and I think that's a really good idea. It's just have like repeated reminders that like if something bad happens, please talk to someone and you are not alone. But also just being more proactive in the sense that like talking to the university, talking to college. When it comes to our consent workshops that we did during Freshers Week, the language was so like weirdly specific on the individual giving consent. Like if you are drunk, you cannot give consent, which is true, but you should also be telling students that if you are with someone that is drunk, you should not be listening to them give you consent. You should be giving them water or like some sort of other, do a movie night, don't sucker them. So things like that. Talking with the university, their policies are great, and I don't like them. And things like that, just to make sure that once they do come forward, it doesn't feel like this big thing that has to happen. It can be slow, it can be steady, it can be all over time.
Any more? That seems to be also round of applause. So I am trying to speed run this as fast as possible. I understand it's getting late, but
everyone. Before I start, I'm very ill. So I had a cough, sneeze, or both during my speech, and I apologize. Anyways, so for those who don't already know me, my name is Angelina. And God, am I tired. I'm tired, and I'm angry, and every time I open my phone, or the news, or the radio, it's always something else to be angry, or sad, or tired over. And one thing that I've come to value a lot about cuts is that I can go to somebody and speak to somebody about how I'm feeling. I can go and express how tired and angry and pissed off I am at the news, at my friends, at anything. No problem is truly too big or too small for anyone who cuts, let alone a wealthy team. So I've got a couple ideas, should be voting for the senior one officer next year, on how to make it work even better. So I'd like to engage with social media a little bit more. My experience with running class volleyball and also the TAP this year taught me a lot about the value of knowing the face behind the title. So I'd like to create trust beyond Freshers Week with our freshers by having series like Demystifying Drop-ins, where we reinforce this meaning that nothing is too big or too small for you to come to your law offices and talk about it before. I also want to improve transparency and improve communication. So during freshers, I'd like to have the roads out, like the timetables that we have currently for our freshers, for our law officers, so freshers know who's on and back to law, who's on duty tonight, and who they can talk to should they feel like they need to. Additionally, I'd like to promote welfare in more ways than traditional ways. So I'd like to arrange sports open days beyond freshers or refreshers. I'd like to have welfare Wednesdays continue, which is something that we started this year, which is just finding well-being through music. I'd like to run college events like mindfulness mornings, and I'd also like to increase the quality of all things welfare. So I'd like to review the welfare which plans are already in motion for that, but beyond art talk, I'd like to just talk with other communities about how we can make it more accessible and also more enjoyable to be in there. I'd like to plug the menstrual supply form. So the bar and stuff can also feel like they get ordered through straight to us and ensure that everywhere has enough supply for everyone and everything's accessible. And I would also like to have a wider access of sexual health supplies because with the right budgeting, it can be done and we can normalize sexual health by removing the stigma in a fun way. Additionally, I'd like to take care of our own team. So I would like to have more casual socials between my team, like movie nights, etc., just to check in and make sure that everybody feels supported throughout the journey. And I'd also like to start inter-JCR welfare socials, ideally internally, so we can connect further with other JCR welfare teams, boost team morale, and deliver also positive. It's a hard time to be a human, let alone to be a university student, and I want everyone in class to feel supported during their time here. So should you vote for me, I will do everything in my power to ensure that. Thank you.
So these inter-JCR welfare socials, how would they work? Would they be organised by you? Because that might be like a lot on your plate, or would it be more generally inclusive through all single welfare officers?
I think that's an excellent question. It's something that I thought about when the idea was behind. We already have a very wide network, and Kansas very well network with other JCR welfare teams. We always do covers for other people's formals, etc., and so we have a working report between different JCR welfare teams already. So I think just working as a senior welfare officer with other senior welfare officers through those accounts to find a date that works for everybody throughout the term and get everybody involved in an accessible way and also in a way that fits everybody. So it wouldn't, in my mind's eye, it wouldn't be just, okay, so we meet up for Greece and then go club, because people might not want to go to the club, or people might not be able to come to somebody's house for a number of reasons. So it would have to be a very collaborative, very wide network of just using the report that we already have between teams to do something special for everyone and something fun. Thank you.
Any more questions? That's cool. Round of applause. On that note, voting starts tonight at midnight, because it's the presidential election. It goes on until Wednesday at 4 p.m, so you have a bit longer to just get everyone to vote. Those candidates, if you are voting, just have your friends get looking through it. I'll put more posts out on the JCR elections The votes will also be announced in House Welfare, not House Welfare, House Safeguard, Wednesday.
What time?
The vote closes at 4, so I imagine it'll be soon after that. The exact time is yet to be sorted. But sometime after 4. So you will answer the first question first, and the second. Any questions?
Hello, well done both of you, but I thought it was very inspiring. Just one question. So, as a ground officer, it's democracy, but you're kind of basically in charge. If there was like a conflict between any welfare officers or conflict in welfare, like the welfare team in general, how do you think you might handle it?
That's a really good question.
Happens a lot of times.
Yeah, literally happens all the time. But no, I think that the best way to approach that is to, first of all, like approach both individuals individually. And not in like a, I heard this, and this, but in like a, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? How are you feeling about welfare? And try to see how you can mediate those issues, like with the individuals themselves. If that doesn't work out, having like an actual sit-down meeting with them both, or even involving Lydia, like having Lydia sit down with the officers. If there's multiple, if it's like a realty drama situation, have them all sit down with Lydia. I think that Lydia does a great job with like her welfare check-ins and stuff like that. We should check in with us once a month to make sure that everything's going okay. So, but yeah, just open communication between everybody, making sure that like everybody has the full side of what is going on, and remembering that we're all on the same team.
Yeah, to sort of echo what you said, I think the most important thing in team settings is communication. And obviously, as somebody who, as you said, technically is leading, but is still an officer and part of the team, a huge thing. I think it's very simple to answer the question, and I think it would have to do with the environment with the team and how I'm feeling in terms of how connected am I with each officer. So I think I would agree in terms of if the situation arises and the circumstance also allows, to have a joint discussion and kind of lead, in a passive way, lead communication between two people that maybe wouldn't be able to communicate by themselves, if that makes sense, or wouldn't be keen to get into that kind of situation. And then should the situation also be Lydia, massive fan of Lydia, we love Lydia, and she knows all, she does all. And I think never be ashamed to ask for help. If I can't manage anything, I would never be ashamed to ask for help, even the other welfare officers around, delegated.
Any more questions?
I don't believe the real question you're asking. Okay, so my question is, as to the welfare, you're not like the other JCR officers, you're not even like the other JCR officers in the exec. And I think at being senior welfare, like you're such a friendly face and people like come to you with their problems, which is a great thing. But how would you guys ensure that you're kind of like protecting like your keys, protecting your space at, when you want to go to an event and you have another welfare team wanting someone to put you with a problem, or if people are just kind of dumping on you and running on like senses, it might be something that you encounter now. But I think my question is, how would you make sure that you're protecting your keys and mindset and kind of your mental space whilst doing the role outside of the time when you are at that?
Thank you, Cam. That is a great question and a really important one to raise, especially for such a hefty role like this one. Something that I've learned just through living, really, but also through doing this role this year is that boundaries forsake life. And really, it's okay to say, look, I hear you, and I think what you're saying is completely valid and a real struggle, but can I please take you to somebody who can help you right now? Or, for example, if I had a bed, that's something that I would say. I'd say, let's go together to the welcome room. Let's go together to the welcome space so we can talk to the team that is on duty tonight. And should this issue continue, I can get involved when they beyond the space and also give them my details to my welfare account, my welfare account, sorry, so they know where to contact me should this issue continue beyond those hours. And I think as well, beyond boundary setting, being able to delegate. So if we are in a space where we can't give welfare back because that does happen and people are coming to you regardless, even outside your working hours, just delegating and knowing who you trust and who you can put in just who's moving forward as well, just to help. So that's my answer. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, so I think that's obviously really great points. I also think that making sure that I think being a welfare officer requires a certain amount of being in touch and connecting with your emotions and recognizing where am I at right now, how am I feeling. Obviously you always should put yourself first. But that also means that if someone contacts you for out of hours, and I'm thinking here specifically about if the other welfare team contacts you out of hours, because I know that's something that happens. I've typically contacted you out of hours, but taking a moment and being where am I feeling right now? Am I feeling like I'm equipped to deal with the situation, or am I feeling like I'm equipped to defer it? Because there are definitely situations where someone might text you out of hours, or someone might, I don't know, do something, I don't know. And if you can take a look around, you go, I'm in a safe space, I feel good, I feel like I'm equipped to handle the situation right now, I can listen, I can provide some sort of help, and then refer them on to my drop-ins later. That's really, really important to be able to I don't know, make sure that you're doing well. But yeah, otherwise just, making sure that they have a way to contact you and they feel safe doing so. It is definitely a thing where someone might come to you on night out and go, oh my god, I recognize you, you're welfare. I'm actually really struggling with something. And then you have to get their contact information so you can talk to them outside of that time period. And sometimes they don't follow up, and that's something that you have to be proactive about. You have to make sure that you are constantly checking in with people. But yeah, just I think making sure people are connected with yourself. We're in a good spot mentally at all times.
Sorry, last question. Based off you guys' experiences freshers and just people in general, is there anything, and also I don't know where you weren't there for this part, but is there anything you guys from outside perspective would change about welfare and freshers week, or anything basically around that time?
Yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, I spoke about this in this video. I think I can reference my notes. But I think that the accessibility of drop-ins needs to be, and the accessibility of contact with welfare needs to be tremendously improved. If you are freshly into university and you are surrounded by strangers, you might be encountering a problem. And yes, you know that the welfare team is qualified, but you might not necessarily want to walk up to a complete stranger and tell them everything that you're struggling with. And that can definitely be a cause of a moment of homesickness too, where you're just oh my god, I have so many people back at home where I can talk about this. So I think that part of that, I think the anonymous queries form that I suggested was, I think, a really great entry point where people can talk about it. But also really being proactive about meeting the freshers, talking to them when they're sober, outside of club nights and outside of drinking events, and all sorts of stuff. Having individual conversations, trying to connect one-on-one as much as you can. Yes, the carousel is great, but also I don't know, doing as much outside of just movements to ensure that you are contacting professionals, that you're talking to them, that they feel safe talking to you is really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Eden raised some excellent points. Obviously, I joined the welfare team a little bit late, my fault, but I wasn't quite there for prepping in the sense of the welfare ecosystem, but I was there in the sense of team leadership and also knowing how it works. So I'd say that the first thing that I'd like to do to address kind of transparency, but also address kind of feeling more like you can build trust with that person, is to start early. Start introducing places early, start during summer, getting our faces out there, getting our voices out there, speaking to people through social media, explaining what we do, and really plugging Comes Welfare this time around with the socials and saying, look, Comes events, it's something that I love doing, thank you, Lily. Comes events and Comes JCR are the two most followed accounts from Comes students, and we need to get Comes Welfare up there to the minimum. So people can feel like they're connected from the get-go. And the other thing I would say, which kind of goes into my speech again, I didn't have to say it, but just knowing who's there, just knowing who's on duty. There was a lot of times where even I, as the leader, did not know who was on duty. So just having this access point of, if the threat who is quite interconnected with the professional so far sees that there are incidents going on and somebody needs a need of a chat, they can direct them, but also what you can send to for us as the welcome team to also be very social, very into it, just so we can build as much trust as possible to continue carrying it on throughout the year as well.
That's useful, so round of applause again. We do technically have a method 2 for us, so I'll do that quick. I'll try to answer this actually before that, but we need to order like that. We need to order like.
Oh, do we need to move on? Sorry,
What is? These toes are right. The roll that's running is slightly round. So these toes are right. Can you please raise your hand if you'd like to run with the roll is slightly round? Everyone can open their eyes. One finger is like candidates.
So happy about that.
On that note, the meeting is over, but everyone can help sit and be
Okay, thank you so much for watching this live stream, guys. Bye bye.